Hello, and welcome to Close the Gap podcast. I'm Beth Kelly, your host, and I want to talk about what we'll be discussing in topics for these upcoming episodes. So, number one, I want to discuss things that affect our communities, things that have an impact on how we live life in our communities, and how you and I can affect positive change right here in our own backyard. So, a little bit about myself, I'll give you some background. I grew up in a little town called Fayette, Maine, a lovely, lovely little family town where everyone knows everyone. And I left there to go to college at the University of New England, where I received my degree in occupational therapy. And it was there that I met my husband of now 30 years. And we have two grown children. And I recently decided that I would continue my education, and I got my master's degree in theology. Uh, then, uh, then we settled here in Jacksonville and have been here for 25 years. So I guess that's the rendition of my life as I know it. And I think I would say that I'm vested in my community. I live here, I go to church here, I work here, and I experience life here. So let's get started on some topics that I have coming up for the podcast. I've planned is with a very good friend of mine, Eric Perez. He is a speech and language pathologist. He happens to specialize in cleft palate, and he is an expert in augmentative communication devices for adults and children. And I love the fact that he is willing to speak to our audience to help us gain insights into when and how services like this might be available to people that need help. Specifically, in his line of work, it's with children with learning differences or adults that have suffered a stroke and they need communication. He's great, and you'll just really learn a lot from him, and I can't wait to have our round. There you have a little snippet of what I have lined up. There's a lot more on the docket for discussions, and I will be discussing that as we go along. But I really hope that you'll send me some questions that you would like to have answered, and you can actually my email at closethegap.podcast@gmail.com. Write me your questions, and I'll do my very best to make sure they get answered. I look forward to our discussions.